Hey guys, I'm John Ritzar from WatchSpec.com. Thanks for being here. Today I want to start our discussion on the Seiko Snk809. This watch sells extremely well, but what are the chances that it possesses the quality and the style needed to be used as a professional watch? Watch this video to find out. Okay, in this review, I'm going to break down this watch into the following categories. Number one is just a simple overview. Number two is the style of the watch. Then I'll move on to three, which is comfort. Four is the movement and the accuracy of that movement, followed by number five, usability of this watch. And then we'll get into number six, which is the value and the verdict of this watch. There is a written review to accompany this video that can be found at watchspec.com. I'll leave a link to that in the notes below. Also, if you want to know more about me and why my review should even carry any weight, I'll leave a link to my About page at watchspec.com that highlights my engineering background and my overall story. So having said that, let's go ahead and get started. Seiko is one of my favorite watch lines. They have such a rich history with such key inventions and technologies that they've developed over the years. And honestly, the quality that they are able to produce at such low price points is unbelievable. It really is. And the Seiko 5 line is a perfect example of that, with the quality and the technology included in it. So technically, the Seiko 5 stands for 5 key elements that are present in every one of these watches. I'll quickly go through those. Number one is automatic winding, charges while you wear it. Number two is a day-date complication in the same window. 3, water resistance. 4, unbreakable mainspring. They call that the Diaflex. And number 5 is shock resistance. They call that Diashock. This Seiko is the SNK line. There's more than one variant in that line. So there's the 803, which is a beige dial on a beige strap. There's also an 805, green dial, green strap, 807, blue dial, blue strap, and finally the 809, which I have, black dial, comes on a black strap. My recommendation is the black dial, and the reason for that is I feel black is the most versatile. It can be worn in a business environment to look professional. You can also wear it very casually, of course. So I am recommending the 809. So having completed the quick overview, let's get into the next item, which is style. For that, we're going to switch the camera over so you can get a closer view of this watch. Starting with the category style. So with the style, we're looking at a case that has a 37 millimeter diameter. The thickness on this watch is 11 millimeters. It is a nicely sized watch especially for people with medium or small wrists. It is a watch that will easily fit under the cuff. You won't have bunching with that watch moving under the cuff. It's not a chunky watch. I think it's a very nice size for a professional watch. If you have large wrists, it may be too small for you. That's a personal preference, so I'll leave that up to you. I will say my wrist is 7 inches around. That's about 18 centimeters around. So it fits nicely on my wrist. The dial, I'll zoom in on this. The dial is black. You can see it's a field or military style watch. It has the triangle arrow up at the top. It has minute markers around the outside. There's an inside circle here that has the hour markers. I'll talk more about that later as to why this is one of my favorite aspects of this watch. It does have a raised emblem, and I'll try to catch that. The Seiko and the 5 symbol are applied logos, and they're raised. You can see that there. I think that's a fantastic touch. I love when watches have applied features. It's something that catches the light, and it just gives it that image of quality. I think it's a fantastic touch, and I love it. And It's something I notice every time I look at the watch. Next is the day date window. You could see that here at 3 o'clock. It has white text with a black background to match the dial of the watch. It's really nice. And on Sunday, you get a nice surprise with the Sunday shown in red text on black background. So it's just that extra little touch that gives the watch that special feel. And it's something that you'll look forward to on Sunday. Moving on to the hands. So you can see the hands, not typical of a field watch. This shows a little bit more elegant hands. So these are, I'll call them elongated diamond shapes for both the minute and the hour hands. The second hand is a shape that I call the lollipop, where it has the circle on the counterbalance. I love the touch of red on the pointer of that second hand. If this watch didn't have this, it wouldn't be as special of a watch to me. But that red accent it gives it a sporty feel. It's something that catches my eye every time I look at it, and it makes me love this watch. I love this watch with that red on there. It's just great. Okay, moving on to the glass. The glass is Seiko's Hardlex. It's not the best glass. It doesn't compare to Sapphire, for example, but I mean, we're talking about a value watch here, and you're not going to find any watch in this price range that has a nice sapphire crystal on there. So this is Seiko's Hardlex. The only downside to this is going to be that it smudges easy. You're going to find yourself wiping it off somewhat often. It's not as hard as Sapphire, but again, that's what you're going to get in this price range. Next, crown. So the crown is also not typical of a field or military watch. It's a smaller crown. Usually on field watches, a field watch is a tool watch, something that when you're in the field, you can easily grab, turn. This doesn't fit that. So this is a more recessed, smaller crown at the 4 o'clock position. Next is the band. So the band, this is not the band that comes with this watch. The band that comes with this watch is this black canvas strap. It's a two-piece Zulu style. It's got the Zulu style hardware on it. You can see I still have the tag on here because I knew that I would never use this. I replaced it as soon as I got the watch. I ordered this strap at the same time I ordered the watch. And what I ended up doing is I took this piece, and you can see this has the Seiko mark on it. I took it off of this strap and put it on the leather band to basically round out the look, keep consistent hardware to match the case. It's just a great touch, and it turned out really nice. I highly recommend you replace the band. This is going to make it look like a tool watch, not a professional or a luxury watch at all. I highly recommend replacing it to get a more professional look and a classier look. Okay, when you do that, you're going to be looking for a band that's 18 millimeters wide, so the lug width 18 millimeters. So you're looking for an 18 millimeter band. It does not have drilled holes, so you'll have to access the spring bar that's inside here from the inside. I don't have any issues with that. Okay, next category is comfort. We already talked about the size under the style section. The watch is not a overly large watch, so you are going to find that you won't have any issues with this sliding under the cuff, as I mentioned before, and you won't find yourself banging it into doorways or on your desk. It's a very nice, comfortable size. We talked about the 4 o'clock recessed crown. I don't have any issues when I bend my wrist. I don't have the crown digging into my skin, so that's very comfortable. The weight of this watch is 2.2 ounces or 62 grams. That is the equivalent of a stack of 11 US quarters. It's not a heavy watch, but it's got enough weight that you know that it's on your wrist. And for me, that's something that's very important, is feeling the weight of the watch. That weight has masculinity to it that I want to have in my watches, but it's not too heavy, so it ends up being very comfortable especially for a daily wear style watch. Moving on to the next category, movement and accuracy. This watch applies the Seiko Snk809. That has been around since 1996. That is 20 plus years of existence of this movement. That is very impressive. That just shows how great the quality is on this movement, that it's lasted this long. When you have quality, it lasts for a long time, and that's proven in the longevity of this movement. So this movement is also present in Seiko's iconic SKX diver line. This is my SKX009 with the Pepsi bezel. Same movement between these two watches. Okay, I'll go through some good and some bad. Starting with the bad. So on paper, this movement has an accuracy of plus 40 to minus 20 seconds per day. That's on paper. I feel that you're probably going to achieve within plus or minus 15 seconds per day accuracy. Mine was running at 11.5 seconds per day slow. I do have better accuracy now, but I'll explain that in just a second. Next is no hacking. No hacking means when I pull out the crown to set the time, I pulled it out all the way. You can see I'm moving the hands. You can see that the second hand is still moving. So if you're the type of person who wants exact accuracy to the second to match the atomic clock, you're not going to be able to get that with this. Unfortunately, I'm one of those people, but I accept it at this price range. Next is no manual wind. That means I am not able to simply turn this crown to wind the mainspring and charge this watch. The only way to charge this is to move this rotor back here. So the movement of that rotor is the only way. So you could either wear it or you can do the shimmy shake to charge this watch, but that's the only way to do it. And then finally is the changeover time of the day and date. So it's unfortunately got somewhat of a large range. It starts, I think this is it, around 11. You can see the date is starting to change at 11 p.m. And then the day is changing. It goes over to the Spanish language. We're at 3. So basically at 3 o'clock, it's changed over to the next day. So there's about a 4-hour window there. Some people like a real snappy day-date change right at midnight. For me, that's not something I'm that worried about, so I don't mind it. Okay, that's it for the bad. Let's go to the good. There's a lot of good. So this applies the Diaflex unbreakable spring. That is the mainspring. It's Seiko's special alloy that they've created. It prevents overwinding, so you can't break that spring. Also, there's a Diashock isolation feature, meaning if you accidentally bang this, you're not going to damage the components inside. There is the magic lever, which allows for dual direction winding. So whether this is rotating counterclockwise or clockwise, it charges the watch either way. Next, day date. So that is a complication that is driven by this movement. And of course, I use that all the time. Next is 21 joules. So you can see right here at the bottom of the dial, it states 21 joules. Joules are used to reduce friction between moving components. So there are 21 locations in this movement where joules are applied to reduce that friction to get better accuracy and improve durability of the watch. This watch operates at 21,600 beats per hour. That's equivalent to 6 beats per second. So that means this second hand is actually moving 6 times every second. And it's hard to see, but what it ends up doing is it gives it a nice sweeping motion that's aesthetically pleasing. On top of that, this mainspring has a 40-hour power reserve. That means if you let this watch rest for 40 hours, after a full charge, it will still continue to beat for 40 hours before stopping and before the mainspring is out of all of its power. I also love the clear case back. It gives you the visual of this movement. It's basically like seeing the heartbeat of the watch. To me, that's awesome. I'm an engineer, so I love that kind of stuff. Mechanisms, springs, gears. It's just so cool. You can see the ingenuity and innovation that's gone into this watch, and that's why I love mechanical and automatic watches so much. And then finally is regulation. So before I mentioned that this watch was running 11.5 seconds per day slow, I was able to regulate this watch to improve the accuracy to 2.88 seconds per day slow, which is absolutely phenomenal. It rivals the accuracy of luxury watches that are thousands of dollars. And the way that's possible is you can adjust the tension in the hairspring of this movement to speed up or slow down the beat of the watch. So the ability to regulate a watch is important for me because I can take a watch that was at a very low price point like this and get the accuracy of a watch that is much more expensive. So that is an awesome part of this watch. Okay, next section is usability. Guys, usability, in my opinion, is the best aspect of this watch, and I'll explain why. Previously, I mentioned about the inner and outer ring design of the dial. Inside the ring, you can see the hour markers with every hour being marked. In the outer ring, you can see the minute or second markers, every 5 minutes or seconds being marked, but you do have a tick for every single minute or second. If you look at the hands, the hour hand is pointing inside the ring, so it basically points right at the hour number, and the minute and second hands point to the outer ring, so they're pointing at the minute or second. To me, the legibility or readability can only be rivaled by a digital watch. I have never seen an analog watch that is so readable. So it is so easy to see that the time on my watch right now is showing 4:30. It's pointing just past the 4 and it's at the 30 mark because the hands are pointing to the appropriate ring. It's unbelievable how easy this is to read. Next is usability of the crown. The crown is small, however, it does have a little notch in the back here for you to access, so you can easily pull that out and rotate this to change the time or date. I have no issues with this whatsoever. I will say whenever you change the time on your watch, please remove the watch from your wrist so you're not loading this in some strange angle that's going to bend it or break it. That's not what you want. The band has no issues really, except the aesthetics. It's not a professional looking band, so I recommend you just go ahead and replace the band so you get the most versatility and professionalism from the watch possible. Okay, next is water resistance. So this is rated to a depth of 30 meters or 100 feet. And that makes it seem like you can take it swimming, diving, snorkeling, wear it in the shower. Don't do any of those things. So that rating of 30 meters is under perfect conditions, controlled in a laboratory that you're not going to see in the real world. So if you're taking this in a pool or the ocean or in the shower, you can imagine the temperature of the water or the pressure of the water is going to be different in all those conditions, and this watch is not going to protect for those conditions. So if you are looking for a watch that you can take swimming or diving, I highly recommend a watch with 100 meters or more, especially with a screw down crown, which means it tightens against the seal anytime you anytime you push in the crown. That is what's going to guarantee water resistance. That would be like this SKX you could see right on the dial. It says Diver 200. It's a certified diving watch with a screw down crown. This is not. It doesn't have seals on the crown. So this is only going to protect you basically from getting caught in the rain or washing your hands, water exposure like that. Finally is the lume. Lume is the glow-in-the-dark paint that's applied on the watch so you can read the watch in low light applications. This watch applies lume at each 5-minute marker around the outside, so that you could see these tiny little dots. Those are the lume, as well as in the hand. So the center of the hour hand, center of the minute hand, as well as the lollipop circle on the second hand apply the lume. The lume on this watch doesn't last all that long, and it's not very strong, but it provides adequate visibility in the dark. The complaint I would have is all the dots around the outside are the same, so you can't see which dot is the 12-hour dot. So you kind of have to make sure you're keeping track of your orientation of the watch when reading it. For me, lume is not all that big of a deal on a watch like this. Okay, moving on to value and verdict. So here's our final category. The price of this watch currently on Amazon is less than $65. Guys, that's super cheap for all the Seiko 5 technologies that I explained that are in this watch, the ease of use of this watch, and after you replace the band, the classy style that you achieve from this watch. At this price point, replacing that strap is a no-brainer. This strap was $10, so it's super affordable. It's a super affordable watch. This is also one of the most popular watches to modify. If you search the internet for Seiko Snk809 modifications or mods, you'll find that there's all kinds of replacement dials, hands, you name it. It's all over the internet. So if you want a custom look to your watch, you can achieve that as well. This is one of the most versatile watches I own. So because of that black dial and the fact that I put it on this brown leather strap, I can wear this in a very professional environment. I can also dress it down, and I can put a NATO strap on here and wear it very casually. Even if I have the leather band on here, I've worn this with t-shirts and it looks fantastic. It's just a very versatile watch that I wear all the time because of that. And the accuracy, again, it can be very accurate, and if you want better accuracy than what you get, you can regulate it, which is fantastic. And again, I'm running at 2.88 seconds per day slow. Unbelievably impressive accuracy for this watch. Okay, final verdict. My final verdict is I highly recommend this watch. I recommend this watch for anyone looking for their first watch, especially someone looking for their first automatic watch. This is the first automatic watch I bought years ago, and I still wear it regularly today. I also recommend this watch for anyone looking to expand their collection, and this watch fits the style that they're looking for and the functionality that they're looking for. At the beginning of this video, I asked if a watch at this low price point can possess the style and the quality needed to be used as a professional watch. And I hope through this review that you see it is possible, as shown by the Seiko Snk809. It is just such a great watch. I love wearing this watch. I have higher quality and more expensive watches in my collection, and I still come back to this all the time because it's got those 5 key elements of the Seiko 5. It's just such a value that you get from Seiko and from this watch, and it just looks amazing with that black dial and me having it on this brown leather strap. It just has such a unique classiness to it. I just love wearing this, and I get a lot of joy from it. So much so that if something were to ever happen to this watch, I would buy another one. I would replace it. If you want this watch for yourself or the leather band that I put it on, I will leave links down below. These are affiliate links, which mean I do get a small commission at no additional cost to you if you follow that link and make a purchase within 24 hours. If you do choose to follow that link, I will kindly accept that as a thank you for providing this video and my written review as well. Having said that, I want to hear from you guys. Do you own this watch, or are you considering to buy this watch? If so, tell me what you love about it. Or do you have questions about this watch? I want this to be an open discussion, so please let me know your thoughts in the comments below and I can respond. And with that, Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.